Alright everyone, hello and welcome back to YCS Hartford, Connecticut. Here is a look at the convention center. Our players are competing in this weekend. It's been beautiful out, right? A little bit great. Weather's perfect though, especially coming from where I was previously to this. And it's an exciting weekend to be back at live events. Here's a look at our tournament hall. We had quite a few players register for the event. Total attendance was at 1,247. We are currently in round 5, and there are only 81 duelists left undefeated.
Yeah, the number keeps dwindling down every round, Starting off at the first round, 1,247, all right, just the entire pool, not undefeated, but you're seeing it get down to 81. It's a lot smaller than you think. It creeps up on you really quickly, and sooner or later, there's only going to be a couple that are left over fighting for their right to make that top cut in day 2.
Division is an incredible mathematical process. It's all it creeps up with you real fast. But yeah, as you said, we're going to start dwindling down, right? Like it gets smaller as we go. But we'll go ahead and toss it to the feature match table. We're not going to wait to get started. This is round 5 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Championship Series, Hartford, Connecticut. And in our feature match this round, first up, we have Gary from Philadelphia. Favorite card, Pot of Desires. A little bit of a new age duelist probably, but definitely an awesome card. And ooh, who do we have second up here, Asala?
Ooh, this is Pakawat 4 months. Hometown, Jersey City, New Jersey. Favorite card, Max C. I don't think he ever got to play with that card.
Interesting. Maybe he's just a master duelist, right? Master duelist. But regardless, both incredibly powerful cards for their own reasons, right? It will be exciting to see exactly what our duels have brought to the feature match table this round. But let's talk about Pack a little bit, right? The VIP player. How has he earned that VIP status?
He, I believe, just won a VIP qualifier in one of the various VIP qualifiers that you can play in to receive the VIP status for this tournament. You can also get it by being a YCS champion, but those tournaments are no longer available. So it's very rare to get that VIP status. You have to keep looking out for those VIP tournaments in your area.
Yeah, and anyone can compete in those, right? But it definitely gives you a huge advantage if you get to play. We were talking about it earlier with Jerome. You get those 2 buys, right? You start off 2-0. The field is a little bit more refined by the time you start playing too, so more likely to get maybe those Despia branded mirror matches you're looking for. And my biggest reason, breakfast. But regardless, it's great. Pack, though, no slouch. He got in that with a VIP qualifier. But let's talk about, maybe why duelists might know him so well.
Yeah, so Pakawat definitely becoming a mainstay in competitive format because he actually won one of the remote duel YCSs with the Prank It strategy a few months back. And since then, he's still maintaining dominance and still showing up at every YCS that he can, and been in top cut at another remote YCS since. So, a couple accomplishments for such a short career in the game.
Yeah, I think we see that a lot we talked about it before too, a lot out of these remote duelists, right? Like all the people who competed a lot in remote duel, they were grinding throughout the quarantine, the lockdown at home. They're really getting their reps in terms of just getting Yu-Gi-Oh! And playing as much as they can. So when we come back to live events, they're in prime shape, right? It's like they've been in the training room back, extra weights and everything for however long it took. But let's head down to game 1 of our duel here in round 5 between Pakawat and Gary. Pakawat on branded Predaplant, Gary on Swordsoul Tenyi. Talk to me about this matchup a little bit, Asal.
Okay, so we did get to see almost an identical matchup of this with Jesse Cotton in round 3, and that makes sense. Pakawat is actually on, I assume, a very similar list to Jesse. They did make this deck together. And ideally, when the Predaplant deck is able to go first against the Swordsoul deck, it is extremely favored for the Predaplant deck. Going second, though, it does have a lot of those interactions from the hand that we did see in round 3 that make it more favorable as well. So I think, generally speaking, Pakawat does have the advantage with this strategy. Do see a Swordsoul emergence here, knowing that Gary is leading the play. Unfortunate for Pakawat, but still not too bad as long as he's able to have some forms of interruption to make sure the play doesn't go completely uncontested.
Yep, it looks like he's going to go ahead and grab that Moye.
Yeah. This is the double emergence opening, not super strong, especially into this. When you have the Call by the Grave, but it's infinite permanence that's trying to end your turn, real rough here.
Yeah, sometimes it just doesn't line up, and that's unfortunate, especially with how powerful of a card Call by the Grave is. But yeah, just going to completely shut down Gary's turn. Swordsoul, one of those decks that a lot of people thought for a long time. It's not really something that keeps pushing through cards, right? Sometimes you can do a little bit extra with the Tenyi, but there's cards like Effect Veiler, Infinite Impermanence, even like Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, really just can stop a whole turn. And it looks like that's unfortunately what happened to Gary here. So now Pakawat has the initiative, full 5 cards in his hand, opens with Branded Opening.
Ooh, that is an insane opening if you give up any in this deck. Branded Opening, being able to send any card from your hand to the graveyard to be able to summon a Despia monster. You're going to be summoning Aliber here. Aliber is going to be able to add any branded card here. And to the effect of Biblis as well, which triggered by being sent to the graveyard, which is able to add any Predaplant monster from the deck to the hand, is met by Call by the Grave, so he's not going to be able to get that. That does actually hinder the combo quite a bit, but still being able to search Branded Fusion here, if there's not that many more interruptions, and we see Gary only has another Veiler, I think Pakawat is able to get as far as he needs to, as far as damage, to be able to just end this game quickly.
Yeah, it seems like he might have exactly that opening here he'll try to take advantage of. Definitely a very cool like variant of this deck, right? The Branded Predaplant deck.
Mm-hmm. It has a lot of options to play through interruptions, especially when you can't discount this enough. When you play strategies like this that are less known, people don't know when to properly interact with your cards, and you can take advantage of that very easily by just taking like the slightest mistakes in your favor.
Yeah, definitely. We've always talked about that as like a big reason, a big upside to playing the rogue strategies.
Yeah, especially when like it's not necessarily meant to be rogue. It is a powerful strategy in its own right. And we do see Prada Practice summoning Orpheus Scorpio here. This is a particularly powerful chain of cards where you're able to summon the Orpheus Scorpio from your hand and then add a copy of Biblis from the Prada Practice, and then Scorpio is able to discard the Biblis, and then they all will get their valuable effects. Biblis already being called by the grave here, so it doesn't actually mean anything here. It is not required for any part of the combo, and we're not going to be able to search Instant Fusion by summoning out the Darling Cobra anymore either, but it looks like Branded Fusion is just going to have to try to force its way through at this point.
And we'll see exactly what he chooses to kick down. Looks like it's going to be a Fallen of Albaz in addition to...
I imagine he might have to go for the Snow here. Go for the Albion that can attack before he goes into the Libellion that will not be able to attack. So Albion's going to be able to banish the Fallen of Albaz as well as a Dark Monster. You're going to be able to then summon the Libellion, discard a card, put back the Libellion as well as the Albaz, summon a Mirror Jade. And then with the Mirror Jade, the Albion, as well as the Snow in the grave, I believe that is enough to connect for the amount of damage that he would require. But he's interestingly going after the monster, like the attack position for Scorpio. Oh, okay, he's going for the Predaplant fusion monster, trying to establish a couple more resources here. On summon, it is able to add any Predap card from graveyard, deck, or face-up extract to the hand. You're going to be able to add a copy of, most likely, Predaplant Bufalicula, which is a pendulum card that can, in the scale, fusion summon for any dark fusion monster. Yep, there it is. Opting to go for, like, it seems, Draco Stapelia as well as the Albion. Yep. So he's able to pop, tribute any of the monsters on the side of the field, and then summon a Predaplant monster from his deck. Likely in this situation, Darling Cobra to search the instant fusion, or maybe Saracenian to get another Predap card after that card is removed from the field. It seems like this is a little excessive, though. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to find the damage that he needs going with this line. But the Snow, you know, you'd be surprised with Snow, I guess.
Definitely a surprising card. Yeah, but I mean, even if he doesn't find the damage, right, is he just getting to the point where he has this, like, insurmountable advantage to where, like, Gary can't come back through it, or do you think he's really just, like, tossing it a little bit here?
I think it potentially gives Gary an opening, because if you look at Gary's hand here, he has Ashina and Emergence. That is an extremely powerful combination of cards. Being able to search a copy of Longyuan and discarding the Ashina, having access to Yazi plays, having access to level 10 plays, definitely the most potent 2-card combination that you can have into a field. So it's not immediately out for him if he does see another turn. But Super Volley does make things a little bit safer, if I had to give any card. If anything, that might just let him...
More damage.
Yeah.
Talk about surprising damage. Super Polarization, quite surprising.
Oh, he has another Albaz in hand. Okay, so he's able to just make a Mirror Jade this way. And load up the graveyard as well. I do believe that puts him out of cards in hand for the Super Volley, though.
I will attempt to go to Baptist. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely the case.
Yeah, so if he just decided to do this straight from the beginning and sending the snow and just summoning the Mirror Jade, it would have been the same thing. But I suppose he wanted to fill the graveyard a little bit. All right. Gary did not need to see it finish through. He understands that the damage was there, and being able to move on into game 2.
Yeah, definitely a strong start for Pac. This deck's explosive, right? Like you said, it can play through a lot, which is why maybe some of these other duels are favoring it over the more traditional, like, Despia branded decks. The Predaplant engine in itself, in addition to all the card names being a mouthful, very, very powerful.
Mm-hmm. Like, it has a few perks when you compare it to something like the standard Despia branded deck. You have access to a lot more of those interactions from the hand, because the engine's a little bit more compact. You don't have to play as much engines such as Patchwork to go along with your Edge of Change and polymerizations. You can use those spots for things like the Mirror of the Primal Being, Effect Veiler, Infinite Impermanence. We saw how all those have been useful in this matchup so far. And it gives you a little bit of edge in this matchup exactly because of the Predator counters that we talked about earlier. Dragus Tapelia is also just a fantastic card in a generic field when you're able to both put a card to level 1 while also negating its effects. If you were a Swordsoul duelist, how would you side for this matchup right now? Assuming that you know not very much about the Predaplant cards themselves.
Yeah, if I didn't know much, I would just look to side against it like it was a heavier combo version, right? Like, just so as much, like, interaction as I could, right? Swordsoul already one of those decks that tries to disrupt rather than break most of the time, right? Very, like, hand effect heavy. So I'd probably just lean that way. So as many cards that I would normally side against, you know, just, like, heavier combo strategies, that's probably what I would try to go for here. I'm sure there's also cards like Dimensional Barrier, obviously strong enough against one side, probably strong enough against the other side as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Dimensional Barrier is still one of those cards that, even if this strategy is slightly different than the regular branded deck, you're still meeting that same flaw where you rely on the fusion summoning. So if you do get met with Dimensional Barrier, it is a lot rougher for you, but you can still kind of hold back and rely on those effects from the hand as a clutch and try to buy yourself some more time, get yourself another turn, and try again.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing, too, is he's also going first, right? So even if it's not hand effects, if there's, like, powerful cards that he might side in, whether it's, you know, like, continuous traps that are going to really, like, hinder his opponent from doing things, or maybe even some counter traps, right, that some duels choose to, like, put in going first, I think those are something to consider. Also, like, the one thing I would be trying to figure out right now, like, what extra deck monsters do I want to go into, right? Like, what's the thing that's going to be most effective against the Predaplant half of the deck?
Right, I think it's very interesting, right? Because I'm not even sure what the answer to that really is. I think Chisha is very good, but maybe like choosing between Baron de Fleur or Sinister Longyuan it's a tough choice, because realistically, if you go for Sinister Longyuan and try to like bait out all the bunch that they put on the field, if they just resolve a single branded fusion, it could end your career still. Looks like the players are shuffled up and ready to start game 2 here as they open their first hands. Gary opting to start again, and we do see one of those powerful continuous traps that you were mentioned earlier, Anti-Spell Fragrance.
Yep, he's fine against the Predaplant cards, right? A lot of fusion spells, a lot of searching, already good against the branded part of the deck as well.
It does have a few more answers to it, because it is able to use monster effects to fusion summon, which is not very usual for it. But we do see a very strong opening as well with a Tenyi as well as Vessel. That will not be ending Gary's turn though, because there is a copy of Incredible Ecclesia able to go into Ataya.
Yep, it's going to go ahead and treat itself. And a special summon, it looks like he's going to choose a Tenyi.
Getting the Ataya there. Oh, but that is in fact a token collector in Pack's hand. That's a very expensive banish as well. He's going to force Gary to pass here, likely after the token collector resolves. But that is a lot of spells, though.
That's quite a few spells. I was going to comment like, oh.
Bait his way through, because I think his win condition is forcing that Brand Fusion to resolve.
I feel like you have to hold your Ash for either the Brand Fusion or like an Orpheus Scorpio or something, right? Like the two like really, really big ones. Yeah.
Alright, immediately met with Ash here. I feel like Pakawat made the decision to flip the Brand Fusion because he didn't expect an Ash or any level 3 tuner to still be in hand because of the option of Yazi. Prosperity here is still not bad though if he's able to find any potential copy of just really any Predaplant monster is all it takes at this point. Able to fuse with the Clamito Sundew as well as the Predaplant monster in his hand, and then go into the Predaplant fusion monster, get some more resources, get like a Predaplanting, and then try to just force your way into a Dragos Stapelia. A little easier said than done because you're not going to be able to scale up the Bufalicula and try to fuse with that. But you are able to go into another Darling Cobra, maybe get another Brand Fusion for next turn.
It seems strong. Yeah, the big thing is he's going to try to dig around the spells, right? Like he's going to try to find a monster, something that has immediate impact against his anti-spell fragrance.
And at the very least, hopefully destroy one of those monsters by battle. No, don't want to leave the tie up. You don't want to leave the monk up. I think especially you don't want to leave the monk up because that opens up the lines for Vishuda.
Definitely. It looks like he has a couple options there. At least the Fallen Valbaz is one monster, but what's the other monster between the...
Clematis Undo.
There we go.
Fallen Valbaz is a fantastic monster here, able to fuse with the Monk of the Tenyi, able to go into Mirror Jade, and pretty much lock up the game at this point.
It really shows the power of Pod Prosperity, right? Like 6 cards, a lot to banish from your extra deck, but worth looking at that many from the top. Like,
now you got options. The options are so valuable, he decided to pay the price and get the Starlight ones to make sure they're nice.
There's some sort of like karma thing in there too. You're just paid towards the karma gods. Alright, so he's gonna go ahead and normal some of that Fallen Valbaz.
Discard the other token collector.
Yep.
Understands there's no infinite impermanence there now. Able to summon that Mirror Jade. Likely going to keep its effect around because he's not going to be doing all that much damage right now.
Summon Mirror Jade to activate the Exploit Dragon.
I was... Okay. I was about to say, if he's activating, I was dead wrong.
Because of Prosperity. Okay, damage is half.
Yep.
So you'll be at 400.
Pack clarifying the game state as much as he can, making sure there's no confusion.
I'll set one card, and then I'll go to F8 and then pass it. And then we look to... Oh, wait, no, you don't pass. Sorry, Prosperity. Sorry. Okay.
Opting to set in the same zone as the anti-spell, just in case you can bluff the infinite impermanence, because why not?
Yes.
Drawing another spell! Oh.
I'll draw turn. Standby.
That's rough. That's rough.
I think it's a set branded opening for Pakawat here. If he wants to just dig for another branded fusion. Not going to be putting up that much damage right now, but still just going to be applying more and more pressure. He drew another spell.
The effect of branded opening means this one. That is fine. I'll discard Friend of Practice, and I will...
Friend of Practice would have been a good card if he was able to eventually resolve it, but I think at this point he's made it quite far. Doesn't need to do too much more.
Search, or let me think if I want to search or special search.
At this point, he probably does want to just search the Aliper so he can attack with it.
Good luck with this. I will choose to add the Uber to my hand.
Yep.
Sure.
And now, just in case, if that Mirror Jade would happen to be destroyed, he can protect it. Because of the graveyard effect of branded opening.
I'm gonna normal swimming clam
Very interesting.
or Predaplant, clam the Dosunu, whatever. Yeah, it's diffusion. Yeah.
All right, fusing with all three. That's Guardian Chimera.
That's a good one. I was gonna say with anti-spell up, be nice to destroy those set cards.
The fact of Guardian Chimera.
Yeah, that's dealing a lot of damage and drawing another card.
Did you cut already? I don't remember. I'll send you for the game because I don't remember. Okay. I use two monsters from the field. I use two monsters from the field and one from the hand. So I'll draw one.
You just get to draw first and decide.
This and this.
Yep. Going after the spells here. Seeing the unfortunate disaster that was.
I already committed.
Oh.
So this bag, okay.
Oh yeah.
My phone receipts.
Gary conceding here. He sees that there's not going to be a single card he could draw to get out of this position with the Mirror Jade live, as well as both token collectors in the graveyard, really locking him out of the game.
Yeah, I feel like that was a little harkening back to the classic anti-spell fragrance, forcing you to set your cards for me to destroy them kind of thing, but it was just sort of Gary self-destructing a little bit there. It was unfortunate, right? Gary's opening very, very strong, but just the fact that he hit like back-to-back spell card when he really needed any amount of gas, I think missing the one line with Yazi, or at least maybe not missing it, but choosing not to commit to that line is probably what led him there, right? Maybe he thought on the back of like anti-spell and Ash Blossom and a couple monsters he could just do enough, but not the case.
Yeah, and then going on to the Predaplant side, we mentioned how it was weak to those types of effects, those blanket, really powerful trap cards. But when you have the backup in those effects from the hand, you can really get there. So we'll be back to interview Pakawat right after this break.